And welcome to more farming analysis. This time it's trial 110. So exactly the same format as the previous videos. I've got two farming runs from mobile that I'm going to be dropping in a moment. One of them is with Death from Above, and the second clip will be with Frostbeam. So I'll drop those in and then we can go take a look at the results from 150 runs of trial 110. So this is just the standard Death from Above EXP farm build, but we're running trial 110. Wanted to see how it would behave at this level. So it's just the usual Frost Nova, then Immolate for Shatter to pull in mobs. They take a bit longer to kill on 110, so you start getting performance issues. I think in a moment I'm going to end up dashing into a group of mobs rather than attacking yet there. I think I grouped them up for a Death from Above to try and take as many out so we can move on and start speeding the run up a bit and pulling in more mobs. There's not a great deal to say on this at the moment. It's just standard pulling in as much as the device can handle. I think I'm at the position where we're ready to almost spawn Kara. I think I grouped them up with a Death from Above and that gets her spawned. Yep. So it's Frost Nova Immolates, waiting for her swords before casting Death from Above. This time I think we get a second Immolate in before the swords. That's good because it gives me extra charges on the Death from Above attack. This time we wait for the swords before Death from Above. And the Talisman of Power's procced, so I'm just going to cast Death from Above as soon as it's available to make use of that. And the Thermal Shock to kill her off. So this is going to be a Frostbeam run. It's on the Experience build still. It's not a full proper Frostbeam build insofar as the two trinkets that I'm using are still from my Death from Above build, so they've got plus fire stats on them, but the Frostfire Sash and the Bracer of Mastery with Frostbeam damage have both got plus frost, but it doesn't prove to be any sort of problem within this run. Frostbeam is perfectly powerful as it is. I'm running with just one healer with one Vortex, and I found that on the Kindle casting a circle or an M very often didn't get recognised, so I put in extra toughness and a bit more attack speed with the Marcus and Robin additions. I'm going to hide behind this rock and use that to channel the mobs into a line for this beam, so it kills them nice and quickly. I think we get a bit messy towards the end of the mob phase, end up with about 3 or 4 that I still need in order to spawn Kara, so we're just pulling in the last mobs now. Move behind these elites and then cast the beam back through to the approaching group. And it wasn't quite enough to fill up the bar, so 2 to go. And the beam is so powerful, even with no trinkets proccing, we get move from the swords, beam, and then thermal shock is going to take Kara in one. So that's the build that I ended up doing the full farming run with. So I ended up sticking with the Frostbeam build for the full 150 runs of Trial 110. The only reason for that was that whilst it's a bit slower than Death from Above on the mob phase, it's just one hit kill on Kara, and it's just seemed, I just preferred it that way when I was doing the runs. So if we jump in and first take a look at the total drops that came through. As always, feel free to pause the video and take a look at these numbers in your own time. You can clearly see that by Trial 110 we are much more heavily in the legendary region of drops, far fewer epics. It's shifted decisively into lots of lovely legendary drops. So if you want to look at the rest of the numbers in more detail, again, feel free to pause the video. There's not a lot to say on this screen, so we'll move on to some of the details behind this. So I found the results from 150 runs at Trial 110 quite interesting. Before I started all these runs, I had an idea that 110 might come out at about 75% legendary and 25% epic, and after 150 runs, 24.7 epic and 75.3 legendary. I find that interesting because I'm wondering if there's going to be eventually some sort of linear relationship in the trials, that say Trial 90 might end up at 25% legendary, Trial 100 at 50, Trial 150 at 75, and Trial 120 at 100%. After 150 runs, that's not holding true at 90 and 100, but my preconceived idea that might be what we see, certainly looking good at 150 at the moment. There's at least 300 more runs to go, so these figures are subject to a lot of change still. In terms of overall percentages, only 9.8 now epic, 14.9 epic set. Legendaries 35.3% and legendary set were 40%. And the other interesting thing with the drop types, so our normal regular drops are 45.1% and our set and unique are 54.9%. That is lower by a bit, quite some way, to Trial 100, but that's not a problem because we're seeing a lot more legendary set items, and at Trial 100 it was more epic set. Legendary sets have far greater chance of salvaging down to Mark of Titans. So I think what the devs have done is quite clever in the way that these things are set up to drop out, so that we end up with a gradual increase in the amount of drops and the sort of items that we get out of the salvage. So although overall set and unique has dropped considerably from Trial 100, the fact that they are legendary means that we get better salvage results than from epics. So that one was an interesting one for me to see, so I was quite pleased that something like that exists. Move on to the next slide. So this is a breakdown of the number of drops per level. Level 70, we're getting under 50% of these are now level 70. Drop off isn't as severe as we've seen in some of the lower trials. Interestingly, I haven't seen a single level 76 from 150 runs. But our level 77s are rising all the time, 5 out of 150 runs. So about 1% of our drops are level 77 at 110 so far. Not something that you think, great, I can equip my character just from running Trial 110 over and over and over, although it could be useful for building a gold farming set if those 77s have plus gold on them. On the average item level, epics came out at 71, epic set was 70.8, legendaries was 71, legendary set was 70.9, overall 70.96, so just under 71 now. So the average item level continues to increase with the higher trolls that we go, which is in line with previous statements from the devs that the higher you run, the higher the level items tend to be. So that is backing up that statement. I think we move into some of the salvage analysis now. And because we are seeing that many more legendary items at Troll 110, our salvage results are certainly on the greater essences, or across the board on all essence types, are much higher than they have been on any of our previous analysis videos. So converting up lesser essences to greater essences, 406 fire at 27 per 10 trolls, 823 water at 54.9 per 10 trolls, 506 air at 33.7, 427 shadow at 28.5, and 439 earth at 29.3 per 10 trolls. So no surprises, as always. Water way out ahead of all the other essence types. Interesting to see that air is coming in at second place at this stage. That's quite nice if you are on a crit build where you need a lot of air. So that's something interesting to bear in mind, that we're certainly seeing more air than I've seen in the past. It used to be one of the worst performing. At the moment it's the second best. So that's that. So we'll just take a look at the other salvage items too. So finish off, cured leather. I received 250 of those at 16.7 per 10 trolls. Interestingly, that's quite a bit lower than I saw at Troll 100. I wonder if that might be related to the number of set and unique items, and that perhaps there is no relationship between the amount of leather you get from a epic or a legendary if it's a set item. So the fact that we had fewer set items has possibly caused that to drop. Something I'll look into further when we've got more information. Enchanted leather 38 at 2.5 per batch, identical to Troll 100. Silk is 2084 at 138.9, so we've seen an increase on those. Marker Titans, reflecting the much higher legendary sets items that we're seeing now, 434 at 28.9 per 10 trials. Iron Bars 548, 36.5 per 10 trials. Mithril I got 84 at 5.6, so we've nearly double from Troll 100 there. And Nightcloth 250 at 16.7, so that's a drop back as well from what I saw at Troll 100. So be interesting to see what happens over the rest of the 300 runs at Troll 110. I say these are just interim results at the moment. Tomorrow I will put up the results for Troll 120. I have got the figures already, I just haven't put the slides together, so I haven't got anything ready to compare them with. Possibly after that I'll do a fifth video just doing some comparisons, so we've got some figures side by side rather than having to hunt through all four videos to compare values. So that's possibly the next couple of videos that will be out. as usual, any questions, comments, suggestions, put them down below in the comments section, and thank you very much for watching.